Alright, so 2 games down and only 1 game left to go with the forms of the classic games department, and that will have to be Pac-Man, of course, the most recognizable video game characters of all time, in this case one of the legendaries of the forms of the video game mascots of all time, along with Mario, Mega Man, and of course Sonic the Hedgehog, and pretty much every single games out there will become legend by the time being. So even then though, let's jump straight to this. Waka waka waka, eat all of the dots on the screen, watch out for the ghosts. So obviously the control method on this is just simply we can just move around, by simply we need to use the directional pad. For either those 2 controls you're going to be using. So anyways though, let's get started. So obviously you know how this game plays out. Basically, if you leave the title screen running, basically it tells us about the fact with the actual character, especially with the nickname of course, but we've already know every single names by the forms of 4 of those ghosts, because you know, which are Clyde, Inky, Blinky, and Pinky. So once again I'm gonna have to adjust the screen by itself. However though, I'm actually going to be decided to decrease the screen into 12 this time, so even then I just want to point Excel right away, just because, well, it might be a perfect fit, but in forms of the actual, like, the arcade version of Pac-Man's display, so even then, oh yeah. And just like the other 2 games, Galaga and Dick Dog, you can actually just play this game either by your own, or you can just play this within 2 players. So even then, and as you expected, we need to beat the high score until you're able to actually decide to, well, accomplish everything. So, you know how this game did manage to first released. It was actually on 1980, around the same year as when Game & Watch first existence, but in forms of, you know, for Nintendo. So, in this game, it's very simple, self-explanatory, because I've already know about the game already, because I've seemed to play this ever since the Pac-Man Championship Edition in the Xbox Live Arcade compilation discs. Every time you actually purchase yourself, you know, the Xbox 360 bundle, even by the forms of the Xbox Live or the Xbox 360 Arcade console bundle, but I've no longer have it anymore, just because of how the fact that, oh wow, that was actually a really terrific start. What I'm gonna go for this point right there, by the forms of this run through of Pac-Man, is the fact that I'm gonna have to go after, like, let's just say about I will go after 10,000 points. So, and every time you eat all of the Pac dots, you'll move on to the next stage, and vice versa for the most part. So, yeah, it's very simple, self-explanatory. If you pretty much recognize the actual game, it's all by itself. But one thing that makes it a little bit difficult, I just realized, is the fact that most of these ghosts can manage to able to actually decide to trick you, but he forms of trying to able to kill you. Because yes, if you leave the ghosts even when in its normal state, if you touch them, you'll get killed. But if you manage to able to obtain the bigger Pac dot, you can just simply disable to eat the ghosts. And even then though, you can able to actually get even more points based off of what combos you can able to actually perform in, even while eating the... Why do I do that? Even though I'm not exactly a pure expert of the forms of the original Pac-Man per se, because there were a few times though I always gonna get run over by the forms of those ghosts so easily. Mainly by the forms of Blinky, because as far as you are already aware, the more you're able to actually stay on by the forms of the actual stage itself, then most of these ghosts were able to become much more aggressive, and plus, they're really trying to rank you up with the forms of like all these extra 1-ups and all that stuff, so that can get pretty crazy if you ask me. Alright, so on to stage 3, even for round 3 I should say. And yeah, there are some rare occasions, as you can see on the bottom right corner of the screen, of the actual gameplay footage of Pac-Man. As you can tell, you can also collect these fruits if you wanted to, if you want to get yourselves your optional score point system. But even then, you can able to actually just decide to do that. So, anyways, just trying to eat those little ghosts. I would have normally trying to able to actually show those games off, but in forms of all in one video, but in forms of 3 games all in one video. But I've decided to able to do it separately. So even then, though, just like in every single like, oh god, I'm gonna be dead. Oh, okay, no. Oh, phew, that was really lucky. Alright. That was... Oh, what do I turn back? Oh, I meant to go the other way. Oh, God. sometimes my Wii Remote's directional pad can get pretty sensitive sometimes. I think it's most likely because it's been 8 years since I've actually last had it, ever since, well, 8 years ago. And one with the bundle with the forms of Wii Party for the Nintendo Wii back in 2010, so I think I might as well be able to say that. The only best recommendable thing about this game is the fact that, well, for controls-wise, is the actual joystick back in the arcade machines and all that stuff. So, even though I wasn't really into the forms of the Pac-Man series up until, let's just say, by the forms of the Pac-Man World 2, whenever I managed to able to obtain 2 versions of the game, actually. I was gonna go for the 3rd version, by the forms of the Xbox version, but only came out on the American version. I actually do really enjoy and kick the likes out of I really enjoy the game very, very so much. Especially ever since the fact that a lot of people seem to have a lot of nostalgic when it comes to like Pac-Man World 2, the most superior Pac-Man World game by far. Even though way more, well, I won't say the first game is not as bad, but it can be very tricky in some scenarios. But way more better than the forms of Pac-Man World 3, though, because it's pretty much a prequel to that terrible Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, that garbage awful Wii U game I so despise, I hate. I'm just sorry, because I just really can't afford to able to play that game so much, because I hate that flipping game. But anyway. So yeah, not only because of the fact that whenever you get to later levels, and even for the actual rounds itself, not only because the ghost might actually decide to able to kill you within just only one touch, but also the more faster it will go, and if you're about to be trying to able to actually eat these ghosts, then they'll just trying to able to actually get themselves a different amount of speed they're going to be going for here, so yeah, that's all I can say about Pac-Man as far as the... You caught me off guard there, Pinky. Well, not Pinky from the actual pony form, but just in the, the ghost formation of herself, so... Oh my god, why do I do that? Oh, jeez Louise. Oh, man. Actually, out of all the games I actually did recently play, I think Pac-Man is one I'm usually really into the most, because obviously he's the main character of the forms of the entirety of the Pac-Man series. There's also the likes of, Miss Pac-Man, which is one of the more rarest Pac-Man games in existence or something like that, and so far there is no sign of Miss Pac-Man in this game, unlike any forms of technically the first Pac-Man party game on the Nintendo GameCube / PlayStation 2, and that would have to be forms of Pac-Man Fever, which I've heard about that game, but the trouble is though is the fact that I don't usually own a game for that, because I believe it's actually the North America exclusive or something like that, but I don't know exactly for sure for that. But maybe. I might try to give it a go though, but not now though, because even then, I'll point things out for... They're really trying to able to throw me off at some point, even with the actual random pattern, and so I thought I might as well able to restart that actual run, because I've only just got started with level 1, and as a result, I can never seem to go forward. Oh jeez. In fact, every now and then though, you can also manage to play Pac-Man for pretty much every single consoles at this point. There's one by the forms of the NES version, and there's also the Game Boy version, the Sega Master System version, and I'm assuming the Sega Game Gear version, and I believe Neo Geo Pocket Color, and the Pac-Man collection for the Game Boy Advance, and also by the forms of the Namco Museum compilations and all that stuff. And heck, even especially noticeable for Pac-Man Party for the Nintendo Wii and Nintendo 3DS, if you want to able to be very curious like I was. Even though I've no longer have Pac-Man Party 3D with me right now, because obviously I still found that version sucks, so... Oh, it's one of those things, how the fact that you might easily get stuck on walls sometimes, because I swear to God, I swear it's managed to able to actually just change up my directions for a little bit, but then sometimes my inputs attempt a little bit more. They just block me. They really do block me, don't they? But it gets pretty fun and pretty hectic at the same time, especially if you're really trying to able to actually compete yourselves with, I don't know, the high school system or something like that. then, well, it can be very entertaining in some form or another, because even then, the more you're able to get more points from, then the more ridiculous the challenge it will get. So, yeah, that's the thing I loved about the forms of the original Pac-Man, because it's quite fun and quite hectic at the same time. Well, of course, you can also just play this game within two-player modes, of course, but... oh, that Clyde! Well, Clyde, at least I deserve for a payback. Oh, sorry, I hit the microphone again. I really do apologize for that. So, I must confess right about now, I probably should not able to do that until when we get to the, the final video of the forms of this particular Let's Play of itself at this point, ladies and gentlemen, because, well, so far we've actually going to be going through almost the majority of the forms of the classic games, and after that, then we can able to move along to the forms of the grand finale of this Let's Play, to be able to actually showcase off what these minigames that we have not played yet, and especially noticeable by the forms the rewards mode, and that'll be about it. Even though I've mentioned this countless amount of times, I'm not going to go for the story mode playthrough of the game, because obviously it's the exact same thing as the party mode, except I'm presuming that you have to go through every single board within a normal course version. So, if I'm assuming for this part correctly, so, and also that you're pretty much limited when it comes to like facing off against with the CPUs in the forms of the very first stage in, oh, why? Why, you two? Why? Hey. I really need to try to able to get myself 10,000 points, because I swear I really want to get these things so badly. But the thing is, though, is that I'm not exactly pure expert at it, even though I'm still good at it, but it's just how the way the fact of the matter is, though, with the forms for the sake of, like, I don't know, the random pattern between, you know, the ghosts movements and all that stuff, and it just gets pretty pure chaos at times. And then, again, when we get to the later levels in the forms of Pac-Man, the game itself, basically, these ghosts can either just manage to able to run extremely fast and trying to go after you throughout so easily, if you manage to able to actually stand, keep wandering around the actual Pac-Maze itself for a long amount of time, or even especially noticeable that if you actually manage to eat the Pac Dots, even for the forms of the big Pac Dots, basically, if you get to the later levels, like, let's just say 50 or higher, the more reduced, or the less reduced time by the forms of these ghosts were able to transform into the blue variations of them. So, because they usually get freaked out, and I've got cornered. What is going on with me today? I'm usually doing very, very awkward at this point. Let's try this one more time, and hopefully we can able to do this in a better run. Even though I could... Sorry, I hit the microphone again, I do apologize. I can able to actually just to beat my very own score, so... I'm assuming that with the reward system of this particular arcade game of Pac-Man, you have to basically really to simply put just beat the high score. And then what's odd about it is the fact that you can start things off with 0 points as the high score, which is a little bit odd. I'm guessing because you have to deal with the first game of the forms of the actual classic games lineup. I'm assuming this, if I remember correctly. So, anyway though. So yeah, that's what I could say about the forms of those 3 classic games mode in the forms of Pac-Man Party they can get. And overall, they are pretty much fun in general. Even then, there's a definition of the best recommendable way if you want to able to actually just to play some old school classic games like, you know, Pac-Man and all that stuff, including Galaga. Really, Blinky? Really? Oh, there's only 2 Pac-Dots left, even though I could potentially try to get them both, but there we go. I'm hoping I can catch up to my previous score at this point, even for my very own record right there, which I'm hoping it would happen. So anyways though, I think that in order to actually get yourselves tons of scores right there, is that you need to able to actually eat these ghosts, and then the more you eat ghosts, like specifically if we eat about like 3 of them, as you can see for about a few seconds ago, the more points you can able to get. Like, for instance, you start off, oh really Clyde? You're really trying to able to block my progression, just about to get that darn big power pellet, if I was doing it so. So, anyways though, did I just bypass Pinky, or maybe she must have gone to the another route or something. So, anyways, let's get a strawberry. Come on, hopefully I can make it for this. Okay, good. So if now we've reached the 10,000 points mark, so it doesn't matter if I manage to able to die, or in this case just continue on with the actual endless amount of levels and something like that. And if I'm guessing correctly, yep, I died because I did not input my directions correctly and stuff like that. But either way. Alright, so let's get these last 4. Oh my god, Blinky, oh no, Pinky, sorry. She's almost gonna throw me off right there, because if she did, then I'm gonna blame her, because even then though, then I'm just gonna have to give her a nice little payback for as such. I think I should probably do like one more round, and then since I'm still stuck on round 3, which round 3, as far as later stages will go, it gets progressively challenging. If you really want to get your high scores and stuff like that, more power to you. So anyways. Alright, so I think this is going to be a moment where, okay, so I've stunned those ghosts. In fact, if you manage to grab the you know, the power pellet, basically these ghosts were able to actually just to start evacuating, or in this case evacuating from me, of course, for in this case Pac-Man rather. So yeah, you probably get the idea with this solution, and there goes my last extra one life. And there we go, folks, that was it for Pac-Man. Still, I really enjoyed it, even to this day, and it still holds up even today. And I believe, folks, we are essentially done with every single classic games mode in the forms of Pac-Man Party. So, yeah, that's that mode done, completely. And yeah, as you can see, I've got myself one of my rewards, which is the forms of Pac-Man High Score, as you can see right there. Because I'll explain more on that as soon as we're able to actually get to the final video of this Let's Play during tomorrow. So, yeah, I just had a lot more fun. So yeah, you can also use on the, if you ever play this on the 3DS version of these classic games, you can either play this with either the circle pad or the directional pad, so it's entirely up to you. So anyways though, we're gonna have to end things off at this point right there, so join me tomorrow by the forms of Pac-Man Party for the Nintendo Wii and the 3DS. We are gonna be showing off the mini games and the rewards for the grand finale, so see you guys then.